So we're out here today to do an estimate, and we're gonna try to see if we can turn this church into a house. So Frank and Tristan are out back working on the estimate. We'll go see what they're up to first, and then we'll get inside. I've heard that there's a lot of stuff going on inside already. We'll show that to you guys when we get in there. So they want this porch area to look like that porch.
How do we get in?
Yeah, the front's wide open. It looks like somebody kicked the door open. So this is clearly the entrance to the basement in here. It looks like at one point it was boarded up and just fell off, but you can see old cellar down to the basement. Now, we're gonna go around the front because the door was kicked in, and we'll go in that way. Hopefully we can get to the basement, so we'll see if we can get down there. Now, before we go inside, you can see the brick here. A couple of them are missing, but none of it's cracked, none of it's falling off. The brick all looks pretty good out here. You can see where they used to have a porch with that line on the brick, and that hole is where the beam would have been that came out that the porch sat on top of. So you can see though, all the brick is in good shape. We must not have been able to get in because I see Tristan coming with a drill. So this here is actually pretty cool. So this used to be, before this was an enclosed patio, it would have just had a concrete base or concrete floor, and this would have been where it's pitched like this. The water would run to the center because it used to be open, and all the water would just run off this. So this is actually a drain that was built in. When they closed it in, they just packed it in with concrete. These are pretty cool if you still got these on some old properties and they still function.
We are gaining access. This was screwed in. This is the security door.
I don't think Frank wants to be an influencer.
There we go. Look at that. And
I'll just walk through.
We just walk over this?
Yeah,
Well, that's the problem. There we go.
perfect. Here's the church. Yeah, I mean, look at the bow in this right here.
Wow.
Look at that.
Good Lord.
That's bad. The bow on that is terrible. So what that likely means is, since this was zoned a single-family residential house, this was a house at one point, which means there was probably a wall here. There was probably a wall there. There was probably a wall there. They were probably load-bearing walls. You can see that they've put a jack post here to try to support the bow in this. But what happens when you rip out all your load-bearing walls? The load's got to go somewhere, right? Where does the load go? It goes wherever it naturally goes. So all the weight is going to start to bow, like on this one here. So when you take out all these load-bearing walls and just make a big open space, you're actually doing a lot of damage to the structure, because this is not meant to hold all that weight. So now you can put jack posts in, like they did here, to try to hold it, but that is not a long-term fix. So what you need to do is properly put the load-bearing walls back in, or put a big LVL across the top. There are no LVLs in here, so they're gonna have to build it back. They want an open concept, but we're gonna have to figure out how to properly support all of this. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but the paint in here
Sparkles.
is all sparkly, which is kind of a cool effect. Yeah, you can see, I don't know if you can see the sparkles behind me, but that's kind of a cool effect. You can see where Adam is standing, would have been the stage. You've got the stage up here. You can feel right here that the floors have buckled. So if you look under this carpet here, that's hardwood. And then over here, you can tell it's buckled already. Oh boy. So as soon as you walk in here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but this slopes like crazy into that corner. As soon as I walked in here, I'm like, oh, like it's enough that you can feel it. We got some screws and all that kind of stuff, but you can see under this carpet, at one point there was really nice hardwoods in here, but for some reason they covered it with this carpet. Now, when you cover hardwoods with carpet, sometimes it can protect it, but only if you're maintaining the space. Now, since none of this is maintained, all of the water, all of the everything that's sitting on this carpet is just being trapped on the hardwoods, which is gonna destroy them. So carpet can protect the hardwoods if you take care of the space. Here, it's just making the problem worse. And you can see some of the staining here. All of that is just being held against the hardwoods, which means it's not drying, it's not breathing. it's, you know, damaging the hardwoods. So I believe Frank and Tristan already made it upstairs, which I believe was, or used to be, the priest's quarters. So let's go upstairs and see what that looks like. Before we head upstairs, if you like and share the video, I'd appreciate it. And you can see that the steps are pretty slanted in to that. I don't know if it picks up on camera, but they're very slanted to the left. So at some point, this side here has dropped. I'll tell you what though, this is gorgeous up here. With all these big bay windows. I mean, if you had nice windows in here and opened all of these up, you'd have a great amount of sunlight. You'd have a really nice sitting area in here, living room, family room, whatever you want to use it for. If these were all opened up and not boarded up, you'd have a ton of great natural light in here. Now, you can see all the paint chipping off. That's a product of not having HVAC in here. So it's not breathing, it's getting wet, it's getting humid, the paint's chipping. Man, did you feel that?
Yeah, you can see it flexing. They don't want to make it a duplex, which doesn't make sense to me.
They can't.
Because it's been back to,
It's zoned as single family.
Single family. It's massive.
It's huge. But you can see here that this is obviously a product of water. We talk about it all the time. Water is the worst thing that can happen to a house. But you can see up here that the roof obviously had a hole in it. You can see daylight from the outside. Water eventually rots all that away. Then it comes down here and it rots all of this away. So, you know, I wouldn't walk too far over that way. This is probably not very solid, not very secure. So that's what water does. It just eats everything away. And you can feel the floor does this as you're walking through this room. You can feel it. You can see here, this used to be the kitchen. So you've got the drain here. You've got the hot and cold lines here, so water coming in. You've got a gas line here for your stove. And you've got a 220 there, which if you have an electric stove, you use that. If you have a gas stove, you use the gas line. But you can see all this. That discoloration and the bowing of the tiles, that's all water again. So the roof here is definitely shot. Now, another thing that tells you it's a kitchen. So here's your old school pantry. So back in the day, those were massive real wood cabinets. You can tell they've been painted over, they've sat here, they've gotten destroyed, but back in the day, that would have been a pretty nice pantry. Now, the other problem with water is it rots everything below it. So you can see just how slanted that porch is. Now, fortunately, the client wants to demolish this and just redo the whole back porch like the one next door, which will be way better. But this thing, I wouldn't even walk through it. I mean, you can see through the walls, you can see through the floors, you can see the doors, windows, they're all busted. It's just very compromised, not safe to walk on. Look at that. Tell me that's not a ominous stairway to the abyss. One step at a time. So this might look weird and this might look slow, but you're better to be slow and safe. And you can see just how steep this stairway was, or they were back in the day, right? I mean, that's a pretty straight drop. Nowadays, staircases, the run is so much longer. You can see water's getting in everywhere, right? I mean, just an open window. Water's coming in here. You can see we got our old steel laundry tub. The brick itself is even deteriorating. That's what all this red, all this clay red dust is from the bricks just breaking apart, right? I mean, you shouldn't be able to scrub your brick off the wall. What else we got going on down here besides incredibly short ceilings? So we saw the ladies' bathroom upstairs. It looks like if you were going to church and you were a dude, you just had to come to the basement to go to the bathroom because that's your only bathroom down here. I mean, you can see the gas lines and everything have just fallen out of the ceiling.
This needs an architect. Too much to even try to conceptualize.
Oh boy, look at this.
Yeah, they were cooking down here.
Frank, how old do you think this is? I mean, that thing looks like an antique.
I mean, who knows? 20 years.
You think that's only 20 years old?
There's a serial number on it.
Oh wow, what about this? Did you notice that with the pipe there?
Wow. Oh, it makes sense.
So there's a lot going on here, you can tell. This is that doorway from the outside we were talking about earlier that we couldn't get down. So Tristan said there's more church stuff down here, so we're gonna explore what that is. Oh boy, we got half a water heater. Yeah, it might have. Oh, look at that. There's your gas lines that have all fallen. Glory to God in the highest. Goodwill towards men. This is when you start to worry a little bit. This here is evidence, all the white on here, and it's on all the paneling down here, is evidence of moisture. Now, when it gets moist and it gets in here and it gets trapped, it's dark, it's humid, it's moist, eventually it becomes mold. So that's something you need to worry about. Hopefully you catch it before it gets there, but you can see all across this paneling, it's on here now. Let's head back up to the front and we'll check the rest of the outside. But like Frank said, here's one of these super old furnaces. You can tell it's just completely destroyed at the bottom, just completely rotted out. A lot of just neglect and damage. The ducting fell, right? The gas lines fell. That pot's just filled with who knows what. So let's head upstairs and check that out. Oh yeah, look at this gas connection. So your stove at home does not have a gas connection like that. That's a pretty crazy connection, but it is a commercial piece, so that makes sense. Man, these are very tall steps. You can tell that this floor has sagged and sunk quite a bit. It's a big U shape. So for anyone who doesn't know, these are incredibly old light switches. You didn't used to have on and off toggle. You had this.
It's pretty cool. Still functions. Yeah.
So when we talk about these places being 100 years old, that's the kind of stuff you see that you don't see in a lot of newer builds.
That's Thomas Edison right there.
Thomas Edison himself. The man. So this here is actually, there's a lot going on here. There's plenty to do. The whole layout's got to change. It needs architectural, it needs engineering, the loads and the support, it's all got to be calculated. This is one where we're going to advise we bring in our architect and our engineer, let them come up with the floor plan and the engineering load with the client, and then let's build it out after that. We're going to write up the estimate. We're also going to include an engineer and an architect on this. If you want to see another estimate where we walk through another cool property for one of our clients, click right here.